I feel like a librarian. Sorry, I'm gonna take that out. Hello and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be diving into a very fun topic, at least I think it's very fun. Personal identity manifesting in everyday life. What is your little touch on the world? What is your special signature where people can tell that you were a part of something just from seeing the finished product? Gaining a strong sense of personal identity and allowing that to carry you through every action. And people's perception of you largely impacts the way that they treat you, the opportunities that you get and don't get, and ultimately the way that you feel about yourself. Today, I'm just going to do a broad overview of personal identity lived out in everyday life. And eventually I might do more of a in-depth look at each point. When I learn about something, I want to know, what can I do with it today? What can I do now because I know something different? What are the actionable steps here? So we're going to be looking at that today. Now, the reason why I feel qualified to talk about this is because I'm someone who has had to discover my own identity many times, because you don't just stay stagnant. You don't stay the same person forever. You might always have core strengths and weaknesses, but as life and situations change, I have seen my own strengths and weaknesses be exploited or used to my benefit. I am a stay-at-home mom, so I have a lot of time on my hands where I'm just with children, and I'm a nurturer and a caretaker, a protector, a creative, and a mom. But I have my own identity, and a lot of my friends have their own identity also. It's really fun to be friends with people that bring something to the table, that have thoughts and opinions and ideas and know who they are. So I feel like it's an important topic, and I like to bring it to just the few people who might see this. Okay, so how does personal identity manifest in everyday life? To figure out your own identity and the way that it manifests is by figuring out your values, your beliefs, your strengths, what you're pursuing. When you take your values, your beliefs, and your goals in life, then you put a therefore after whatever it is you've stated. That, I think, is one of the fastest and easiest ways to figure out how those beliefs and internal ideas become part of your character, part of who you are. If you say, I value honesty, that's great. But what do you do with that? But when you say, I value honesty, therefore I X, Y, and Z, fill in the blank. Therefore, I don't cheat at board games. Okay, when you say, I value X, therefore I Y. It's that word therefore in the beginning that takes something internal and puts it on the external. And you can apply that to basically anything. I can say, I value cleanliness, therefore I clean my house and take showers. I value beauty, therefore I take showers again. Okay. Instead of starting at the actions you are taking, start at what are your core beliefs and values, and that you might not know. And if you don't know what your core beliefs and values and goals are, then you're not going to be able to paint a clear picture of who you are in the world. And if you can't paint and appear as a clear picture, everything's going to be fuzzy and muddled. You're going to get a fuzzy and muddled response from people, and you will see yourself as fuzzy and muddled instead of the bright shining star that I know you are. Personally, I value community. I value friendliness. I value team spirit. I value hospitality. Therefore, I host people at my house very often. I have people just gather and I feed them and I clean up after them, and I've sharpened my skills and abilities to support my values. If you don't know what you value, that is a struggle in its own. And a lot of people, I don't think, really tell you how to figure out what you do value. There's a lot of information on what you should value, but not everyone values the same things. How do you figure out what your values, beliefs, ambitions are? Try out new and different things. Ideally, start with the things that you really appreciate and admire in other people. If you have people that you admire, whether it's people you know or celebrities, historical figures, whatever, think about, why do you admire them? What is it about them? Because it might not be totally obvious. It might not be what they're known for that makes you drawn to them. It might be a characteristic they have that you find really appealing and you desire it in yourself. An example of this is anytime someone tells me about their ability to speak multiple languages, I'm always like in awe. And I think that is so cool because I want to speak multiple languages. Why do I want to speak multiple languages? That's a great question. For me, I think it's amazing that people can learn a world of information and then have new opportunities open to them because of it. So my love of learning languages, or the idea of learning languages, also applies to other things that fall under that same value. The value of learning something that can be applied to practical daily life. Kind of like this. When I've learned about the personality type, I want to learn about it in so much as I see it positively impacting my life. Learning about the Kibbe body types and the Kitchener essences and the color seasons and those kind of aesthetic systems, I enjoy learning about that in so much as I see it positively impacting my life. That is a value that I have. And so asking yourself why and adding the word therefore, helping you answer that question of what do I even care about? What do I even believe? And then saying, therefore, I will X, Y, and Z. That is how you will put it into action. And if you do that over and over and over again, the consistency of that is your signature. That is how your identity makes itself manifest to others. That is how people start to recognize you as yourself. That's how you will show up in the world. That's how you'll see yourself. That's how other people see you. You're more than just who you were born as. You are a sum of events, experiences, and decisions that you have made and continue to make. So if you want to sharpen your personal identity, I think that there's so much benefit in it. A great place to start is asking, what do I believe? Why do I believe it? And then once you know what you do believe and what is actually important to you, despite anyone else telling you what you should think and care about, then you can say, therefore, I X, Y, and Z. And when you answer those questions consistently over time, you will see your personal signature. All right, I hope this was a fun little video for you guys. I love this topic. I find it extremely beneficial as someone who has had to find myself and my values over and over again in a world that is constantly asking, why? Why do you do that? Why do you do this? Why do you do things the harder way? Why do you do things the longer way? And knowing what you believe and sticking to it can give you a life that you're proud of and happy with and enjoy doing, even in the mundane. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in another video soon. Probably office hours next, but I post shorts very often, so I hope you will stick around. All right, bye.